Good evening and welcome to Fl33tway's Roundup with your boy Darius, your host with the most. And just going to be coming on, just once again saying glad to be having everyone tuning in tonight as we got a jam-packed episode as always. You know, I got the news, I got everything to be bringing to y'all, and I can't wait to get started to that. First things first, I do want to at least just say kind of a shout out to a fellow YouTuber. I mean, someone who's definitely got a bigger following than me, but noticed it kind of just watching him a lot, and that's Brandon Perna. He's been a Broncos YouTuber I've watched for a few times and watched a lot of his YouTube videos. He doesn't just talk about the Broncos, he talks about a lot of football news where I've watched a lot of his videos. He makes them very entertaining, and he kind of had a little bit of a big announcement himself where he's getting the chance to be starring on a podcast with Mina Kimes, just in one episode, but still, that's a big moment for him. I mean, especially doing a lot of YouTubing and knowing the fact that you get a chance to be starring on a podcast with a well-respected football reporter who is always on ESPN and NFL Network. So the fact he gets the chance to share the spotlight with her is a big moment for him. So, and he also even says too that if he is on his best behavior, who knows, he could end up showing on more episodes. So again, just wanted to kind of give a shout out to Brandon Perna again. Congratulations on that, man. But we're going to go and start off with our show here for just any soccer fans out there who may be whether new, old, who've been kind of following the World Cup. We're in the kind of the final four where we had Spain and France, and then we got England and Argentina going up against each other. Well, we've gotten our results in for Spain are going to be moving on to the World Cup final after eliminating France, which is leading them closer and closer to doing something that they haven't done in 10 years, and that's actually winning a World Cup. Of course, we can't guarantee they're going to win anything because you still got to go in there, play the games, win the game. But still, the fact that they're one step closer to possibly winning a World Cup championship since 10 years ago is a big achievement on its own. So, of course, it now leaves where we have to see who they'll be playing, which again is going to be between England and Argentina, which they'll be playing tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Time. So once that's determined, then we'll find out who Spain will be playing against, and then they'll be playing on July 19th. So I know that's going to be the big game. I know a lot of people are probably going to be rooting for Spain because as I've talked to big soccer fans, a lot of people do not like Argentina, mainly because of the one guy that they have on that team, and that being Messi. So we'll see how that turns out. We'll see who wins. I know everybody's rooting for England at this point because, like I said, no one wants to see Argentina make it to the final. Like I said, no one likes Argentina because they don't like Messi, who's on there, who's their big star. You've probably heard the name. Normally, there's those big names in soccer that you always hear kind of get kind of just sprinkled around here and there. So you got Messi, Ronaldo, and Neymar, who we talked about in last week's episode, retiring, as well as Ronaldo kind of hinting towards it. But at this rate, Messi's the last who's remaining in the World Cup. So everybody's hoping he doesn't make it because people feel that the team cheats. I've seen a little highlights and clips, and I do have to admit, Argentina, they're up in the air team for sure. I can see why people don't like them so much. So I'm definitely rooting for England. Give us Spain versus England. It'll be at least a unique matchup. So we'll see how that turns out. For sure. I got a little. Let's check this out real quick. Watching from Humble, Texas. Welcome. Glad you could join us. From Humble, Texas. Love to be seeing my fellow Texans tuning in. But we're going to go and move on here from soccer into some football news, as it was reported by our, again, lovely Adam Schefter that a group led by the San Francisco 49ers limited partner Vinod Khosla has agreed to purchase the Seattle Seahawks for $9.6 billion, a record sale price for an NFL franchise, which I remember hearing about this after the Seahawks had won the Super Bowl. I think it was maybe a month or two afterwards, that then it was announced that the Seahawks were being put up for sale. When I heard that, I was like, you got to be kidding me. They just won a Super Bowl. I understand kind of in a sense the business aspect, because if you have a team that just won a Super Bowl, it's best to try to sell them now while they're at their high in case anything happens. So they put them up for sale, and we were just kind of wondering who was going to end up kind of going in to want to buy them. And well, it seems like a partner of the 49ers could do this, which is kind of crazy to think about, which even leads to the next part, because there was a lot of investigations kind of going on with this sale, because no one knew if there was possibly a conflict of interest because of his connections to the 49ers, and being the new owner, would this mean that he would force the Seahawks to maybe be like, hey, you got to trade some of those players over to the 49ers now, because we can't see you succeed because you're a division rival. But I guess after the investigation, which let me keep it 100 with y'all for a second here. It's all about the money. They don't care about if this is fair. They don't care if this is crossing any lines as far as selling a team who's in the same division as another division that's, like I said, this again, the people who are buying the Seahawks are a limited partner to a group that is part of the 49ers. So there's that conflict of interest. But again, I guess after everything was all said and done, they kind of just said, you know what? Nothing seems to be fishy. I'm not going to read all this because that's a lot, but a memo was sent to all the NFL teams that regarding to the agreement for the sale of the Seattle Seahawks. I'm just going to read just a little bit off the top here, not all, where they said, following a thorough sales process run by Allen & Co., the estate of Paul Allen has reached agreement to sell the Seattle Seahawks to the Kosela family and several limited partners, subject to membership review and approval. Allen & Co. reported very robust interest in the club throughout the process, with the Kosela Group emerging as the club's preferred buyer among multiple qualified bidders. So, and even it kind of goes into more detail about their connection to the 49ers and such. So, again, we now have our new owners for the Seattle Seahawks, and it's definitely crazy to be thinking about how much that has changed. And even then, Adam Schefter kind of talked about it, where he kind of added more, where Vinod Khosela's wife, Niru Khosela, will serve as the Seattle Seahawks controlling owner, per the memo the NFL sent today to all 32 teams. So, again, we got ourselves a new owner for the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see how that all turns out. Now I definitely got my eyes on the Seahawks and 49ers if anything ever happens. If the 49ers end up magically getting some luck of special trades or something like that. I that kind of stuff always got me just like, okay, let's see how legit everything turns out with that. So we'll definitely be keeping our eyes out, and if anything does happen that involves these two teams, your boy will report on that. But next up here, you may remember a couple months back on this show, we talked about the new New York Jets quarterback, Geno Smith, a guy who was drafted by the Jets, then moved on from team to team, where then he was with the Seattle Seahawks for a while. He looked solid there. Then he went on to the Raiders for 1 year. We all know how that turned out. Sucked. They got the first round pick to go and get their hopefully new starting quarterback. But as soon as Geno Smith goes and moves on to the New York Jets, he's got drama, where there was a video of this woman recording him at his home, talking about that he hasn't paid child support, claimed that he strangled her and all of that, but was all up in his face recording him and stuff, which that kind of led a lot of people with speculation and a little bit of suspicion, because it's like, okay, if this man just beat you like you said he did in the video, why are you running up to his face like this and all of that? Like, wouldn't you be trying to do your best to get away from him? Well, we got an update on that, where Adam Schefter reported an investigation of Geno Smith for an incident in which a woman accused him of battery last month is no longer active, and the Jets quarterback will not be charged, per the Davie, Florida Police Department. So that kind of ends that saga right there for the whole Geno Smith thing. He will not be charged, and they have now taken down the case. So I guess they must have found enough evidence to support that he didn't do what she claimed he did. I mean, again, I know there might be even some people who might watch this show and even be like, well, football players got money. The teams have money. They can always pay off. I know we always can talk about that kind of stuff, which is always a possibility. But for the most part, you are in some cases inclined to believe that if the charges got dropped, they must have found enough evidence to support that they're not guilty. Again, it's always allegedly, always got to stay in that kind of middle ground type of area. But again, just wanted to give you guys an update, because I know we did talk about Geno Smith and that whole situation. So at least we now have an update. He won't be charged, and looks like that won't affect him starting for the Jets this upcoming season. Next up, another case that we kind of talked about too, involving with the Rams and their left tackle, Alaric Jackson, as he will not face a felony charge after he was arrested on a domestic violence charge back in June. We did talk about this a couple of months ago, where the LA County District Attorney's Office have confirmed. So that's also another player. Looks like he's getting off seemingly scot-free, where he won't have to deal with anything that will possibly prevent him from playing in this upcoming season or missing training camp. So that's something that's, I guess, kind of adds to it that we got to keep our eyes out for, that with training camp coming up in about, if I'm correct, 2 weeks from now, where that's the big training camp. That's where both veterans and rookies will all be showing up to train, get ready for this upcoming season, especially with preseason. So as that gets closer and closer, that's where that time we might start to hear more and more teams getting, stuff like this, big updates. So again, pretty huge to be seeing this as far as with Alaric Jackson, that he will not be getting any charges against him. So, congratulations to him. And I know that the Rams can't wait to get him back on the field. Next up, speaking about the Rams, as you saw as one of my headlines of this show, and I've put in all the memos, we've been talking about this saga for a while now. Ever since the Rams made that trade with the Browns to get Myles Garrett, we've been talking about the possible return of Aaron Donald to the Los Angeles Rams. Number 99, the man that made O-lines and quarterbacks fear for their lives when he was going after him. And we've been talking about him possibly coming out of retirement. He retired as soon as they won the Super Bowl. And everybody's been wondering, after the trade happened, is he going to come back? What's going to happen? There's been the rumors. We've seen talks and discussions happening where he said, after seeing that trade, it's making me consider want to come out of retirement. Well, this past Friday, we just got some big news from TMZ, where I'm not going to have the audio playing, but I am going to have the video at least playing in the background, where TMZ was able to get the scoop showing at the Rams training facilities here, the man in the white shirt, that is Aaron Donald. Yes, you seeing that correctly. That is Aaron Donald on the Rams training facilities right now, walking around with the team, helping carry around equipment and stuff. I hate to say it. Well, not really, but, well, no, I do for my team's sake. But as you saw, he is there on the training camp. He is there at the facilities, walking around with the team. He's carrying equipment around. He's probably been doing some working out. I'm not trying to jump the gun on anything, but if that ain't a sign that he's gonna be making his return to the Rams, I don't know what is, because from the talks that he's been considering it more and more, the workout videos, Myles Garrett even posted on his Instagram an old 99 Rams jersey and stuff being super vague. I'm telling you, it's looking more and more likely he is going to come out of retirement and return to the Rams to maybe do another Super Bowl run. And all I can say is, oh boy, I know the NFL is shaking in their boots. I know I gotta be worried, because my team gotta play the Rams Thanksgiving Eve and play against them. The Packers gotta go over to SoFi Stadium and play them. So I'm not looking forward for that O-line to have to not only defend against Myles Garrett, but possibly defend against Aaron Donald. I'm not looking forward to that, but Rams fans rejoice. We might be seeing Aaron Donald return to the Los Angeles Rams. And even Adam Schefter, who was on the Pat McAfee show, he even talked about it too, where he said he wanted to go to the facility, work out, see how he felt, see how he reacted. I think it was a trial method to see how his body reacted and how his mind reacted. So it's kind of what he's been saying before. He has to see if he's still got it in the tank, see if he can still really work up to that high level that he once was at when the Rams were able to win that Super Bowl. And so we don't know how it turned out. All we know is that he was there, he worked out, and we don't know. We don't know if he felt like, okay, this is it, I'm feeling it, or if he's like, I don't know, I need more time. But he hasn't made a decision yet. But a lot of the signs are showing Aaron Donald could be making his return, which, again, like I said, I'm excited about it because this could be huge, but I'm also scared about it because I know what this man is going to do to the Rams D-line if he comes back. So we'll definitely see about that. But also, just to kind of finish off our NFL section, a little bit of a, not huge controversy, but more so fandom controversy, where we finally got a little bit after where we kind of got, thanks to Jeremy Fowler, if I'm correct, a gathering report from execs, coaches, scouts as they ranked their top 10 NFL quarterbacks heading into the 2026 season. And, well, it's got controversy because of who the top 10 are, who made it into the top 10, who didn't make it into the top 10, who dropped down, who went up. There's a lot of talk. So we're going to kind of break it down and kind of share why there's people talking about it and stuff, whether it's just the overall talks or what fans are saying. So, of course, number one, Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills. He got put up as the number one. His last year's ranking was the number 2 spot. This makes a lot of sense. Of course, this is getting a lot of talk because, one, he's now above Patrick Mahomes. He's now sitting at that number 1 spot. A lot of people are now like, okay, well, if he's going to be now seen as the number 1 quarterback by these guys, he got to win a Super Bowl, because we can't just keep talking about Josh Allen this, Josh Allen that, talking about how talented of a quarterback is if he can't get over that hump. And a lot of people felt like last year was the best opportunity for Josh Allen and the Bills to maybe make it to a Super Bowl, especially because there was no Patrick Mahomes or the Chiefs to get in their way. So I have to agree with that statement. There's 2 quarterbacks on this list that I'm like, there's a lot of pressure. Well, there's actually a few, but still, the 2 top 5, it's just like there's a lot of pressure on these quarterbacks because we talk about their feats. We talk about how athletic they are, how much of a dual threat they are. We talk about this, that, and this, but they have not gotten over the hump to get to a Super Bowl. And Josh Allen is definitely one of them, but I think he deserves this number 1 spot, honestly. I mean, considering what he's done, he won MVP last year, and he continues to be a quarterback that, whether he throws the ball or whether he carries the ball and goes bursting out into a run, he's a guy that teams got to plan for him. So I think he deserves that number 1 spot. Of course, the big talk, like I said, Patrick Mahomes, he dropped down to number 2 after he was number 1. And this is big because this is the guy who was winning MVPs, winning Super Bowls, and now he's fallen down to the number 2 spot. So a lot of people are like, okay, well, some people think that isn't fair because he didn't get to play a full season last year. But even when he didn't play a full season last year, you can make the argument that he was starting to kind of fall off. And I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes is going to fall off entirely, but I do think that he did have a down year. Even when he was healthy, he didn't look like the Patrick Mahomes that we were all familiar with. And now it's getting to a point, especially with his age, that a lot of people feel the Chiefs are going to have to start building around him because they can't just rely on Mahomes. And we saw that last year where Mahomes was the guy who was their leading rusher, their leading passer. That's not good for a 30-year-old quarterback, for him to be the leading rusher on a team, because that means he's going to be taking more hits. And so that's why we all know the Chiefs went out. They signed Kenneth Walker because they want to fix that run game, especially now that their star quarterback suffered that huge ACL injury. So we'll see how that turns out. But I think the swap between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, I think is fair considering how they looked last season. Next up at number 3 is Matthew Stafford. I think personally, this is a fair one. He did just win MVP. We saw how good this guy was. He was setting records for quarterbacks last year. He looked good. Honestly, a lot of people would argue that there was a very high chance the Rams could have made it to the Super Bowl, but we already know the Seahawks beat him. So Matthew Stafford, he set a lot of records. He ended up being one of the highest rated quarterbacks with the least amount of interceptions. And let's see here, he kind of breaks it down where it breaks. Here we go. Where he made history with having at least 45 touchdowns and fewer than 10 interceptions, where he had 8 and he had 46 touchdowns, where the only other quarterbacks that have made such strides like that have been Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. So again, he finally made himself known, in which again, I do have to admit, even when Matthew Stafford was with the Detroit Lions, a rival to my Packers, I love Matthew Stafford. He was one of the best things next to Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders that was on that really bad Lions team. So again, he was the best thing they had, and now he's there with the Rams. So I've been respecting him as a quarterback for a while, and I think I'm glad he finally got an MVP, because every time he had a really good season, he had to sadly compete with Aaron Rodgers in the same division as him. He had to compete with Brady. He had to compete with a lot of those quarterbacks, and now Brady's retired. Rodgers is not really the same Rodgers as before. So this was his best chance to win an MVP, and he finally did it. So congratulations to him, and I think he does deserve that number 3 spot. Number 4, Joe Burrow. This one, I don't think there's been too much controversy from what I've seen in the NFL fan base atmosphere. There doesn't seem to be a lot about Joe Burrow being at the number 4 spot. A lot of people think it's pretty fair considering that he had a down year. Of course, you do have to talk about the injuries. He barely played most of the season, but again, they take into account these injuries and moving into the next season, where do we stand on those quarterbacks? So again, not much talk about him. Lamar Jackson, this is one that I've seen a lot of people talk about, but not really about him being in the top 5 and being moved down to the number 5 spot. Even though we'll talk about that, because a lot of people do think that it's weird he got dropped all the way to the 5th spot, where they still feel that Lamar has done a lot, even when he has came back, to still look like an overall top 5, top 3 quarterback. I see game over in the chat there. But yeah, so a lot of people are shocked about that, but really where the talk is coming, where a lot of controversy is that there's also the top 100 going on, where the top 100 players heading into the 2026 season. And Lamar Jackson, who was number 2 for last year's top 100, has fallen all the way down to number 69, which is crazy that he's fell down so hard like that. And I'm just like, even I'm shocked, because I don't know. I'm seriously one of those guys where I'm questioning. I'm just like, what even is the purpose of the top 100? Because is it that they take last year, how they performed, and then they take the year before and they combine it together into an overall, like, okay, they performed really well the year before last, but they sucked really bad in the year last year, so now we're going to drop them. 69 just seems way too drastic for a guy who's been a 2-time MVP, and to this day, defense has still got to be ready on what is going to happen next, because you don't know if either A, he's going to run with the ball, or how he's going to pass it. So again, there's more controversy with the top 100 list than the top 5 list, but again, still, they kind of coincide with each other. This kind of fall for him, but still, at least he's still top 5. I think if he fell past top 5, then there would have definitely been some outcries about that. But again, not as big, but still there's some discussions. This is one of the ones I'm a little skeptical on. Now, while I do have respect for Dak Prescott and what he has been able to do with the Cowboys, which isn't win a Super Bowl or make it far in the playoffs, but jabs aside, he has been a really consistent quarterback, I think. So I can understand that people have their reasonings on putting him in the top 10. Me personally, I think he's a top 15 quarterback, but not a top 10 quarterback. So I think he's good to great, but not top 10 worthy, in my personal opinion. But again, he's shown that he has that caliber to play with the big dogs. We saw that last year. While the Cowboys defense sucked, absolutely sucked, their offense was incredible. And that was a lot of thanks to both George Pickens being that number 1 receiver and really stepping up, and Dak Prescott. And again, he proved it. So I could see why a lot of people, after how well he played last year, would push him into the top 10. But for me personally, if we're talking about just overall, I think he's a top 15 quarterback, not top 10. Now, this is the one. This is the one I don't like. I'm sorry to the Chargers fans. I'm sorry if you're a Justin Herbert fan, but I do not like Justin Herbert in top 10 conversations. He's a good quarterback, but to me, he is not a great quarterback. He is, and the reason I say this for Justin Herbert is because he always has these great regular seasons where you love watching him. He's just spectacular. You're like, oh my goodness, this guy is great. He's a good quarterback. But then he's built this reputation that every time he gets into the playoffs, you start to be like, okay, are we going to get regular season Justin Herbert, or are we going to get Justin Herbert that lost to the Jaguars and blew a huge lead against them in the first round of the playoffs? Are we going to get the Justin Herbert that only had 4 interceptions in the regular season, last year, but then went to the year before last, and then played against the Texans and threw 4 interceptions in one game, where he tied his regular season record for interceptions in one playoff game. It's just like you never know what you're gonna get with Justin Herbert. So I always get an eyebrow or a frown whenever I see these analysts and execs be putting him in top 10, because I'm like, listen, is he a top 15 quarterback? Absolutely. Is he a top 10 quarterback? Absolutely not. He is no top 10 quarterback, because he has not proven to me or the media, the whole NFL world, that he can win a playoff game. And I think he's honestly a quarterback that's on the hot seat, because if he don't win a quarterback game and get the Chargers to at least the divisional round, to the AFC Championship, to a Super Bowl, he's always going to be seen as the one-hit wonder, where he is having a great regular season, but fumbles, chokes in the playoffs. Now, not thankfully, but understandably, he had an excuse. And I know that's going to sound harsh, but he had an excuse last year. That O-line was atrocious. It was injured to heck and back. Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt, they were both injured for pretty much the majority of the season. He did not have his star O-line to keep him protected, so he was getting sacked left and right. I mean, I will admit, the dude was under fire. Every time he dropped back, someone was in his face. That O-line was atrocious. So I understand that, but if we're talking about an overall Justin Herbert, this man has not proven anything to me yet, and I need to see more from him before I even dare say he's a top 10 quarterback. So again, that's one that I heavily disagree with. Drake May, I think this is fair enough, even though I am someone who's in the group that feels the Patriots had a very Mickey Mouse type of run. For anybody that doesn't know what that means, when NFL fans say they had or NFL or sports fans say a team had a Mickey Mouse run, it's like, man, this team is playing really good, and then they get to the playoffs or get to the big final or Super Bowl and they look terrible. It's like, man, did we just have a Mickey Mouse run where we just had everything go our way and now we don't look like the team that was looking in the regular season? So while I think the Patriots had a Mickey Mouse run, it's no joke. It's not really a well-kept secret. The Patriots had one of the easiest schedules in the league last year. So when you have a good, really solid quarterback like Drake May and a solid team overall play on the easiest schedule, they're gonna make it to the playoffs, and even then maybe make it to the Super Bowl. We already know the Bengals apparently have the easiest schedule now. So considering if everything goes right, I could definitely see the Bengals making it back to the playoffs. But again, I think it's fair, though, to say Drake May, top 10 quarterback. I mean, we have to remember he was head-to-head tied up with Matthew Stafford for a while in being MVP candidate. He was up there. He almost made it. I didn't want him to win it because I want to see another season of him with the same roster, and now with A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs to throw to. I want to see him do the same thing he did last year and do it this year for me to say MVP, full-blown MVP. So, I wanted Matthew Stafford to win that. He won it. But, again, I could see why people feel that Drake May is in top 10, and that's one I'm not going to rebuttal against. I'm not going to say too much. I think that's fair enough. Compared to like Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert, those are ones where I would argue maybe those are top 15, not top 10. Jared Goff, I think that's a fair one too. The former Rams quarterback who after the whole trade with Matthew Stafford going to the Rams, Jared Goff going to the Lions, I think it is fair to say that he is a top 10 quarterback. Now, I know a lot of people feel like he also has that syndrome of whenever his O-line is hurt, or he really makes it to the big games, he can't perform, but I think he's proven enough that he can do it. We've seen him make it to an NFC championship game. When they played against the 49ers, we all know that really I think that was less of Jared Goff's fault of why they lost that game and more of just the coaching, because let's be real. I think everybody agrees that the Lions should not have been going on fourth down in the biggest game of your season with your season on the line to make it to the Super Bowl, to play a team that you guys beat in the regular season and you're banking on fourth down conversions, it wasn't a smart game plan. So I don't blame that really on him. I really say that was more on coaching. But even as it breaks down here, that over that time, over the last 2 years, with recently with the Lions, he has thrown for 9,193 yards and 71 touchdowns, and only four of the quarterbacks and only four quarterbacks have more 4,500-yard passing seasons than Goff's five. Breeze, aka Drew Brees, the New Orleans Saints former quarterback, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, the former Atlanta Falcons quarterback, and of course Peyton Manning, which that's quite a group for him to be paired up with. So again, I can agree he deserves to be in top 10. Last but not least, another one that I kind of disagree with here is Caleb Williams. I think this is very much recency bias. I think a lot of people are looking at the fact of how well he played last year, all those crazy touchdowns he made. It's just like, I'm sorry, but it's like we still have to remember he had a really bad rookie season. And then he had a season where it was all good. But again, similar to Drake May, I need to see another season where Caleb Williams could do what he did last year. Because unless he could do that, I'm not going to do this recency bias where he had all these lucky throws. I'm sorry. It was just a really Mickey Mouse lucky throw season. While he is a good quarterback, and I think he does have that talent where you can make the argument top 15, but not top 10. And the reason I say Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, and Caleb Williams are those quarterbacks I just don't think they deserve top 10 is because I think there's three other quarterbacks that deserve top 10 conversations way more than them. And those quarterbacks are easily Sam Darnold, Jordan Love, and Jalen Hurts. Those three easily. You just had Sam Darnold make the biggest comeback where he had back-to-back 4,000 passing yard seasons, went to the playoffs in both of those years, and then won a Super Bowl in the recent year. And you're telling me he's not in the top 10? That's ridiculous. Like, come on now. Let's be real here. I know Sam Darnold has his issues, but he 100% deserves to be in the top 10 conversation. So that's one. My very own Packers, Jordan Love. That man has shown improvement each and every season. And the fact that they're not even talking about him in top 10 is crazy to me because this dude, I want to just give you guys an example here. Him and Justin Herbert were drafted in the same draft class, 2020, the COVID year. Justin Herbert, since 2020, has been the starter for the Chargers ever since then. Jordan Love started for the Packers in 2023. But guess how many playoff appearances both of those quarterbacks have made? They both have made 3 playoff appearances. I think to me, that's already telling enough that you got Justin Herbert on this list of top 10 quarterbacks, but Jordan Love ain't on here, and they've both made the same amount of playoff appearances, and Jordan Love has had a shorter time to do so. I think it's not rocket science to see why I would say Jordan Love easily swamps Justin Herbert on this list. And also, too, Jordan Love actually has a playoff win under his belt. So, again, adds more to that, but just wanted to share about that. That's a little thing there, breakdown. You share down below. What do you think of this top 10 list? Do you agree with it? Or do you think that some of the quarterbacks I might have mentioned, or even a quarterback you might think deserves to be maybe swapped in to this top 10 list overall? We already talk enough about Jalen Hurts. That man is one of the most underappreciated and most scrutinized quarterback in this league. This man has won Super Bowl MVP. He's made it to 2 Super Bowls. He's outperformed Patrick Mahomes in both of those Super Bowls, and yet he still ain't being talked as a top 10 quarterback. It's insane. But to move on here, we're going to talk about some basketball news, just kind of more so some LeBron James news. We talked about in the headline there, where there's been a lot of talks involving LeBron James and where he is going to be possibly landing. As we already know, he left the Lakers, and now the whole talk is, where is he going to go? Some people were like, is he going to go to the Philadelphia 76ers? Is he going to go to the Miami Heat? Is he going to go to the Spurs, the Knicks? Is he going to go to Cleveland? Is he going to go to the Warriors? Well, I'm just going to kind of share with y'all and just keep it a buck, where I think he's going to end up going. And that, I think, is the Warriors. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go to the Warriors because that's my team and that's who I root for. No. I'm saying he's going to go to the Warriors because there's just been a lot that is connecting it. First off, let's go and break this down. Let's talk about the history. LeBron James, he's talked about, there's been one player who is currently still playing in the league that he has been saying for years now that he wants to play with, and that is Steph Curry. We said it in last week's episode. He wants to play with Steph Curry. And where is Steph Curry? Golden State. He wants to be on the same team as him. They have that connection. They got that chemistry with each other. They both played on the Olympics USA team. We've said this before. They got that chemistry. They have that chemistry under Steve Kerr, who is the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. So again, it's just like there's that connection where he said flat out he wants to play with them. He shares the same agent as Draymond Green. Him and Draymond Green have a close friendship with each other where they've been close. He's also on the Warriors. Draymond Green, we've already talked about it. He took a pay cut to basically help the Warriors try to have more incentives to convince LeBron to go and play for them. So there's that. Recently, this was just a rumor, but then Shams actually reported it was happening where, give me a sec here. Excuse me. Where it was first a rumor back on July 12th from Golden State Ball Report, which I follow them. They do get a lot of things pretty accurate on most of their reports, where they said, breaking, Frank Vogel is finalizing a deal to become an assistant coach for the Warriors and work under Steve Kerr. Well, guess what? He was the former head coach for LeBron James and the Lakers a while back. He was a former head coach. So there's that connection there. Even Ball Report says, looks like the Warriors are upping their recruiting pitch for LeBron James. Another thing here from Ball Report, where over the weekend, Draymond Green and LeBron James have been hanging out a whole bunch together. You see, they've been golfing. They've been going to events, hanging out. It's even been heavily talked about here where they said, notice how LeBron and Dre have been hanging out intensely. It was even reported from Rich Paul, a.k.a. the agent for LeBron James, where he straight up told people LeBron James is not chasing a ring with his free agency decision. He wants to go to a team that makes him happy. So he's not going to a team that's going to best give him his chance to win a ring, which, of course, some people got their speculations like, what superstar doesn't want to win a ring? What are you talking about? Which that could be the case, but I could also agree that he is like, I've won 4. I want to go to a team where I'm going to be able to be happy while also playing for the chance to get a ring. So it's just like that connection there and the hanging out. There's already been reports. Even Draymond Green has gone on his podcast where he said multiple times that, yes, he has been putting out pitches. While he has been trying to focus more so with hanging out with LeBron, he's been putting pitches out to him. Like he's trying his best to recruit him. So he's been doing his part. The Warriors are doing little stuff here and there to maybe give him more incentive to join. So there's just a lot of that stuff. Even then, we're now, even recently, on the 13th, yesterday, Shams Charania, where we've talked about before, he's basically the basketball version of Adam Schefter for the NBA. He reported where first it was all like the Warriors are one of the least talked about teams. They're falling on the list. It's now looking like the Cavs, the Heat, even the 76ers are looking more likely. Now he said yesterday that the Warriors are remaining one of the leading suitors for LeBron. So I just think there's a lot of stuff where I think it's even intentional. They are trying to make the world and even all of the media think that LeBron is going to go to the Sixers because they just made that trade for Jaylen Brown from the Celtics, or the Heat because they made that trade with the Bucks to get Giannis there, and that was a team that he won a ring with, and that a lot of people feel like it was his best years. Some people or tricking people into thinking he'll go to Cleveland to play with James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, etc., and return home. But I think that they are doing this because they want everybody to think those are the big places, when in reality, let's keep it real. LeBron knows where he's going. And like I said, this portion was just me sharing a lot of the facts, a lot of the reports, where I think he is going to end up becoming a Golden State Warrior. And I think that he's going to play his 24th season with Steph Curry and Draymond Green. So we'll see how that turns out. That's where I think he's going to end up going. You share down below. Where do you think LeBron is going? Do you think he's going to Miami? Do you think he's going to Cleveland? Do you think he's going to Philadelphia? Or do you think he's going to Golden State? That's what the comments are for. Share that down below. Next up here, we are going to go and move on. Hold on. We're going to go and move on to our movie section. I know we just kind of, it's a weird transition to go from talking about the whole sports side, and now we're getting into some movie news. First off, we kind of have some, this is more on the sadder side of things, as we did have literally yesterday a passing of a well-known actor, Sam Neill, very well known for a lot of movies, like, if I'm correct, I want to say it was Event Horizon. Of course, his most popular role being in Jurassic Park. He has passed away at the age of 78. And man, when I saw this news, it got me. I was like, man, that's a tough one. This is the guy where it's just like, my childhood, there's been a few things that have made my childhood growing up when it came to movies. I watched a lot of Space Jam. I watched a lot of Space Jam. One of my first movies in the theater, I remember, was watching Hancock, Will Smith. And one of my other big movies I watched a lot of as a kid was Jurassic Park. And that was the movie that got me into dinosaurs as a kid. That I loved watching it. I was like, man, I love dinosaurs after watching it. And this guy was the face of that movie. Dr. Alan Grant. And now he's gone. And it's just like, man, it sucks to see that, because he was the face of a franchise that made me get into loving dinosaurs so much. And it sucks to see a legend like that pass away. And it's crazy too, because it just feels like just weeks or a month ago that this guy was posting cooking videos and big smiles on his face. And it's just like, man, it was just like, he was just right there. And now he's gone. But my prayers go out to his family, and my prayers go out just my prayers in general, that he is in a better place now. I think that if he was still alive and he knew that this was coming, and you asked him, would there be anything he would change? I don't think there would be anything he'd want to change. I think he's had a successful career, and he's shaped a lot of people's childhood. So it sucks to see that happen, but again, he's been a living legend, and while it sucks to see him go, overall, he's made his mark. Also, too, I mean, we're going to kind of stay on this because this movie section is going to be big, but we're going to try to keep it moving on going. We also did have a little bit of some, like, tributes made. Steven Spielberg, the director for the Jurassic Park film, he kind of written a tribute about the passing, where he said, give me a second, I'm going to drink some water so I can be able to read this perfectly. All right, let's go. He said, I owe a debt of gratitude to Roger Donaldson, Gilliam Armstrong, Graham Baker, and Philip Noyce for casting Sam Neill in the roles in which he was so brilliant that brought him to my attention and led to his playing Dr. Alan Grant in Jurassic Park. Sam was exceptionally collaborative. It was a stretch for him to play a character who acted as though children were messy and smelly, because this was the opposite of the loving father he was to his children. I adored making all the Jurassic movies with him, along with Lauren Dern and Jeff Goldblum. We will always have our Jurassic family, and Sam will never be forgotten by us or his many millions of fans around the world. I mean, that's a really nice little touching tribute there. Also, even Laura Dern, his co-star in that movie, who was Dr. Sandler, she even did a tribute too. Sam was my beloved lifetime friend. He showed me the depths of loyalty, protectiveness, and love, always with the driest of wit. A true and noble gentleman who was wrapped up in my dream leading man. I will love you forever, Dr. Alan Grant. So, of course, just nice little tributes there. Just some director giving their respects to Sam Neill and what he meant to them, especially in their time with all the Jurassic movies. But also, too, it kind of gives a little bit of another full circle moment for myself and that inner child of me. as well as just something to be on the lookout for. That now essentially we know that Sam Neill's last movie is going to be the upcoming Godzilla Kong movie. It was a while back that he had announced he was casted. We don't know who he's going to be playing in the movie, but he has been casted in it. And so this will be his last on-screen role that we will see of him, considering his passing. And again, like you might have just heard me said, this is kind of a full circle moment for myself because, like I said, he was the face of a franchise that made child me love dinosaurs. And now his last performance is going to be in a franchise that has been very dear to my heart as a child too, and that's the Godzilla franchise. So definitely, I'm not trying to say a passing should ever change my feelings on things, but this definitely makes me feel more like I have to see this movie now, because not just as to respects for Sam Neill and what he's meant to my childhood, but also in a full circle moment for myself here. So again, just wanted to share that with you guys just to start things off with the movie side. I know it's a sadder set of news, but again, it's new movie news. We got to talk about it. To move on here with our next set of news, we did get some trailers, one of them involving a movie that we have talked about before, and that is Tom Cruise's upcoming Digger movie, where we explained that he's going to be playing as a CEO of a very well-known oil gas company, and that apparently something that he does is going to basically cause the world to be pushed closer to the brink of extinction, and now he has to basically do everything in his power to save the world from a disaster that he pretty much was the cause of. And we got our first trailer. We talked about it because we showed the little poster, one of the other posters we had, and we talked a little bit about it, that this is the movie that a lot of people are talking about. It's getting raves. And well, we got that trailer. I'm not going to play it because I do want to play it safe. I don't want to get copyright striked, anything like that, get this video blocked anywhere. But we had a trailer showing it off where I saw little snippets of it, him in the makeup, the fat suit, and I'm like, yeah, it's still Tom Cruise. You can see it in there, but at the same time, you also see, I'm going to try to play a little the mute. So, of course, you see him and the CEO. That was another thing I was also kind of like, what's going on here? As you see, he's definitely playing one of those typical CEOs. You got the bear rugs. He's got the doctors in his own house. So the doctors are looking over his cat that's fully animatronic right there. And so, yeah.
Sandy, hey.
And so, yeah, we see all of that. We're not going to play the full trailer. We're just going to talk more about the pictures that were shown from it with some of the other actors. So we got some of our first looks at John Goodman, Sandra Huller, Riz Ahmed, and Jesse Plemons, where it's like, man, dude, I didn't even think it was possible to make John Goodman look older. But here we are. There's John Goodman there with the makeup on. There's Sandra Huller there. We got Riz Ahmed with his makeup and stuff. There's Jesse Plemons. And so I'm actually got to say, from what I've seen in the trailers and stuff, and even the performance that's being put on display by Tom Cruise, I'm like, okay, you have my attention for sure. So I will definitely be wanting to see this upcoming Digger movie just to see what we got going on here. See if it's a good movie and possible Oscar-worthy film. We'll have to see for sure. Next up here in our film side is we got to talk just briefly about that. We got our first poster for the upcoming long-awaited sequel to a very famous parody movie in the how do I say it? The catalog of parody movies. When you think parody movies, you think Scary Movie with the Wayans brothers. You think Blazing Saddle, which I remember watching that one time. That was definitely a watch. Blazing Saddle. You think of Airplane. You think of you think of the Naked Gun movies. Those are those kind of movies you think of. But there's always that one other one that also is I can't think of his name, but you know who I'm talking about. It's that director, that guy that always is directing these parody movies, but he also stars in them as well. Mel Brooks. That's it, Mel Brooks. And there's always that one other movie in his catalog of parody movies that is also talked about, and that is Spaceballs. So that's a movie that was announced a while back that they would be doing, And we got our first poster here with the number 2 as they're combing it out. It says Spaceballs, and the title to it, it's not called Spaceballs 2, it's called Spaceballs, the new one. Which I watched the first Spaceball movie, and I love parody films. They are always fun to watch. You always love seeing what they make fun of, whether it's celebrities in the movie or things going on at that specific time or other movies that came out around the same time. It's always fun to see what they make fun of, and Spaceballs was no different from that. And again, it makes sense why we've been seeing this rise, because it makes sense why they would want to jump in on this, because we had the Liam Neeson Naked Gun movie, which honestly I recommend you watch it. It was for a movie that going into it I was expecting it to be dumb, but dumb bad, but with maybe some laughs. It ended up being like dumb good, where I was like, okay, this is funny, and it was actually kind of good too. So you had that one. You had Scary Movie 6. I'm not gonna lie, I watched parts of the movie. I didn't watch it fully. Watched parts of it. It didn't impress me all that much. It's lacking some of that charm, but it still made a lot of money. It was a movie that outdid and outperformed He-Man and some of the other movies that came out around that same release window. So it made a lot of money. It may not have been good. It made money. So it makes sense you want to jump in on this whole bringing back sequels for famous parody movies that people love. And so we had that, but we also had another thing released alongside with this where we got the plot. Give me one sec here, guys. Where they said the plot for Spaceballs 2 has been revealed. Somehow Dark Helmet has returned, which I like that. For any Star Wars fans, you might understand that little reference there as a infamous joke that Star Wars fans make about one of the most infamous lines from the recent trilogies, where they said somehow Palpatine returned. Everybody made fun of it. It was one of the weirdest lines to put in there. But as I said, somehow Dark Helmet has returned. 40 years after the events of the first Spaceballs, 50 years after the events of Star Wars A New Hope, and 1 year after the events of The Devil Wears Prada 2, which just recently came out, the galaxy is once again under threat. A threat so evil, so unstoppable, and completely lacking in any original... Okay. Lacking in any original ideas, that it has vowed to bring back the past, every last bit of it. With Lone Star in hiding, Queen Vespa on the throne, and the Schwartz stretched thinner than a franchise releasing TV episodes theatrically, the only hope for the galaxy is Vespa's undisciplined son, Prince Starburst, and a mysterious palace advisor named Destiny. Together they must find Lone Star, Yogurt, and any other iconic legacy characters fans are demanding before they discover the hard way that while some threats you can fight, the reboot is not one of them. So as you can see, just from the description alone of the plot, they are having fun with this. They're like, we are not going into this movie taking anything seriously. We are going in. This is a parody. We're making fun of everybody. We will take jabs at everybody, and I'm loving it. All the call outs, even me as a movie buff, I understand them. Like, they're even making fun of the whole, like, Star Wars, and the Schwartz stretched thinner than a franchise releasing TV episodes theatrically. They're making fun of how we've seen a lot of, like, Stranger Things releasing some of their episodes in theaters. Even The Boys did this. The Mandalorian and Grogu, which was a movie that a lot of people sadly criticized for just kind of being a theatrical version of one of the episodes and saying it just overall wasn't good. And so, yeah, they're just taking jabs, and overall, I'm like, you got my ticket. It's Spaceballs 2. I can't wait to see what y'all have in store with the jokes y'all gonna be making. And I mean, come on, the fact that this has to me, I'm like, now it could be just money, but at the same time, considering the actor who's coming back as Dark Helmet, this was a guy that was supposed to be retired from acting, and now he's coming back for this movie. So again, I'm excited to see what they got in store. We'll have to see. You share down below. Are you excited for Spaceballs 2? But to keep it going, again, like I said, this movie section is going to be kind of the bulkier section of this show. Thankfully, in the video game section, we only have one topic we're going to talk about, so that at least should help us out here. But in the movie side, some more things we're going to talk about is we have talked about this Paramount Warner Brothers merger for a while now, and I feel like I've done a pretty solid job at explaining to you guys why there's a lot of people against this, why everyone is like, okay, we cannot let this happen because this could seriously just affect the movie industry in a very negative way. And well, we did recently talk about where people are looking into it. They're not just like accepting it. They're like, okay, wait a minute, we kind of want to take more looks. And well, the Writers Guild of America, if I'm correct, WGA, has now filed a lawsuit to block the Paramount and Warner Brothers merger, where they said, and I quote, with fewer competitors, a merged Paramount WB entity would have both the incentive and ability to lower costs by suppressing writers' wages and reducing output. So they're basically saying that if this merger happens, what's stopping them from basically screwing over our writers who are part of our guild and giving them less money? That's just not going to happen. So they're fighting against it. Here comes another one too. A coalition of 12 states have filed a lawsuit to block the Warner Brothers Paramount merger. The coalition includes Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, and Washington. That's a decent amount of states that are getting involved here, that are doing everything to file a lawsuit to stop this. And I'm not going to harper too long. I'm not going to really stay too long on this topic because I've explained it before that I don't want this merger to happen. I feel that this could seriously have a ripple effect that changes the movie industry. We've already seen one that yes, we might have overreacted on it having a change, but it also kind of has, and that's the whole Disney-Fox merger. That was a big one. That took a lot, and it sadly resulted in a lot of layoffs. This is going to result in a lot of layoffs. It's also going to result in, I think, a lot of control, because Paramount has not really done a good job at hiding their allegiance to who they are connected with. I've said in previous episodes, they are a company that is very pro-Israel, very pro-Saudi Arabia, and very pro-Donald Trump. They are very pro making sure that they please all of those parties. And I've explained it in detail before. Even with Scary Movie 6, they had not one but 2 Donald Trump jokes that were supposed to be in that movie that Paramount sadly told them, take those jokes out. Rush Hour 4. The recent news that I even talked about that sadly has turned me off from wanting to see Rush Hour 4, a movie I've been anticipating for years now. And I'm just like, because of everything that's going on, I'm like, I don't want to support this movie because of everything that has happened. The director having allegations of sexual assault going against him, and has now seemingly had those charges dropped because of his connection to our U.S. president, because he made a documentary about said U.S. president's wife. It's just a lot of that stuff where it's like, man, it is so painfully obvious how much control is already happening in Paramount movies. Imagine what happens if they get control of Warner Brothers. That's going to be a lot of movies and catalogs that are going to now be heavily monitored by Paramount. Like, hey, we were going to put this joke about so-and-so or Saudi Arabia or Israel or this president. What do you think about this? It's like, yeah, that's funny, but we don't want to piss off our guy. Okay, so you're going to have to take that joke out. So again, I've shared it before why this is a bad thing, and I'm 100% hoping that they're able to get this blocked, because, man, it will not look good. Next up here in the movie side of things, speaking of kind of Warner Brothers, we're going to kind of transition here to some DC news, where it was being reported by some leakers, aka Daniel RPK, a very well-known scooper who has broken down a lot of movie news and has gotten pretty much everything right. He has gotten some wrong, but for the most part, he's gotten everything right. And even then, it has now been backed up with more sources, where now even officially Discussing Films has now shared this, where we have finally gotten our confirmation that Zolo Madriana will reportedly return back as Blue Beetle in Man of Tomorrow, which I'm like, everybody, and that's funny. I have looked on Twitter and social media. People are happy about this because I actually really enjoyed Blue Beetle. I thought it was I don't think it was like this super great superhero movie, but it was a solid superhero film that was going back to the basics. I think it was enjoyable. I love the actor that's playing in this role, and I was like, man, when the whole reboot with James Gunn coming in, I was like, dude, does this mean that this is the end of Blue Beetle? Are we not going to hear from him again? Like, what's happening, James Gunn? Like, are you going to recast him? What is going on? You told us that he was going to have a big role in your new DCU and that he wasn't going to get replaced, that anybody that was casted during your transition over would still find a place to be able to carry over. And so I'm glad to be hearing that there is a chance, reportedly, that he will make some sort of appearance. We don't know what it's going to be, if it's going to be him actually helping out full blown, if it's going to be more so a cameo appearance. I'm just glad that as long as he shows up in this movie, it shows that they haven't forgot about him and he's not dead. So again, congratulations to Zolo. I know he loves the character and I know he would love to be back as Blue Beetle. So again, we'll have to see how that turns out. But again, we're seeing all this news from Jon Stewart's Green Lantern to now Blue Beetle, Supergirl. We're seeing a lot of characters get announced to be showing up in Man of Tomorrow. And already this movie is going to be a Superman Lex Luthor team-up film against Brainiac as the main villain. So it's just like, man, they got a lot of stuff they're going to have to not only balance, but a lot of stuff that's just like, okay, you're getting my interest in Man of Tomorrow, especially after how disappointing Supergirl was. So I'm definitely excited about that. You share down below. Are you excited for upcoming Man of Tomorrow in theaters July 9th of next year? Only 8 days away from my birthday. Okay, that's going to be kind of a birthday movie. Next up here, we got some Marvel superhero news, where these next two news, they're a little bit more of rumors, but they're coming from people that have been pretty reliable sources. And one of the first ones, well, this wasn't the first one reported earlier today, but this is the first one that we have, where it is being reportedly said that Patrick Wilson is being eyed for the role of Professor X, aka Charles Xavier, for the upcoming X-Men film. And that is an interesting one. Patrick Wilson, he's a solid actor. This is not his first time being in a superhero movie. He played as Ocean Master in the Aquaman films, and I thought he was pretty entertaining in those movies. We know he's been in a few other films and franchises and stuff, like those I think those Conjuring movies and stuff and everything. So he's definitely had an acting role, and I'm like, okay, you got a solid actor to play Charles Xavier, and I mean it fits into that whole, because we have to remember there's been a lot of reports that this upcoming X-Men movie, they're trying to kind of go younger for their X-Men. They don't want to go like too old. They want to kind of stay a little down in the younger category. And so we've heard those rumors. Like last week we talked about the recent Obsession star possibly being eyed for a role for this upcoming X-Men film. Sadie Sink seemingly being casted as Jean Grey in the upcoming Spider-Man movie coming out this year, and who will be carrying over. So we're seeing a younger cast, and so I'm intrigued. I think that this is an interesting casting, and I honestly think he could pull it off. But that's not the casting I really wanted to talk about here, folks. It's this next one that I'm like, okay, wait a minute. We might have something cooking here. And that is from Cosmic Marvel, another reliable source from APOC Horseman. Adam Driver has reportedly been cast as Magneto in the X-Men reboot film. Now Patrick Wilson is good. Adam Driver is great. He, of course, as you even see in the picture there, one of his more recent, bigger roles of him playing in a franchise was as Kylo Ren, the son of Han Solo and Leia, who ended up joining the dark side. That was his most recent role, which I think he was honestly the best thing of those trilogy movies for Star Wars. And now he is reportedly being the guy who's going to be Magneto. And I'm like, if there's anybody that I think can match up to Michael Fassbender's recent performance as Magneto, which was really solid, I think Adam Driver can do it. He has that ability to really act his butt off, to have those emotional, really like powerful impacts of screaming, yelling, which you kind of want to see from a guy who's as tormented as Magneto is. So I'm like, if we're looking at a possible Patrick Wilson, Adam Driver, Magneto, Professor X combo for this upcoming X-Men movie, I'm like, okay, we might be cooking here in the casting department for a really solid X-Men film. And this is also kind of confirming, too, from the reports kind of going deeper, that Magneto will be the villain, seemingly, of this first X-Men film. Because there were rumors that maybe Mr. Sinister was going to be the villain of the film, which it could still be possible. Because, again, this is only reportedly Adam Driver is going to be Magneto. We could get a rug pull that he's going to be Mr. Sinister. But for the time being, this is what we're hearing. Adam Driver could be our next Magneto, so we'll definitely have to see how that turns out. Again, I think that's pretty exciting casting overall. But now, speaking of Marvel, we're going to kind of talk about some Spider-Man Brand New Day news, where we've been getting a lot of clips and gifts from seemingly what we're supposed to be getting is an upcoming trailer. There's been a lot of reports that a new trailer is supposed to be coming out here. And well, we've been getting clips and teasers, all of that from this new trailer. And it's like, it's getting to the point where everything I'm going to show y'all, I'm like, man, I kind of want y'all to stop, Sony, because I don't want you to end up spoiling this entire movie for everyone, including myself. Because as hype as all this stuff is, it's like, okay, let's take it down a bit, Sony. I don't want to get spoiled and know what the full film is, because especially for me being a movie buff, it only could take me a few scenes and characters to be like, okay, I know what's going to happen. So I'm going to play some of these GIFs here, but here's one of the earlier GIFs that we had showing the Hulk in the movie, and you see Spider-Man with this gauntlet on trying to jump at him, and the Hulk reacting super fast, grabbing at him. I'm like, man. And people been complaining, begging for Marvel to bring Hulk back. Not the smart Hulk. People been wanting 2008, 2012 Avengers, Mad Hulk, Angry Hulk, Scary Hulk. And this scene right here, you see him gritting his teeth, his muscles flexing. I'm just like, this is the Hulk we've been waiting for to come back. And I can't wait to see this fight between Spider-Man, Hulk, and even some other images that were released. Punisher will be joining in on this fight too, which everybody's been clowning on him like, man, what is Punisher going to do in a fight against the Hulk and Spider-Man? Here's another gift we got too, seemingly from this upcoming trailer here, where we see Hulk and Spider-Man fighting in the air, with Spider-Man even uppercutting him with the gauntlet he has. And it's just like, man, I think this is going to be the highlight of this new film, Spider-Man versus Hulk. I mean, me being a 2000s kid, I grew up in that Marvel era where the three big faces of Marvel were Spider-Man, Hulk, and Wolverine. There was no Captain America, Iron Man, Black Panther being the big faces. It was those three. And now we got two out of those big three in one movie together. So every time I see a new clip, I'm just like, this is looking better and better with each one. We even got another clip here that I will play, because it should be only 22 seconds. Hopefully, I won't get copyright striked. Please, YouTube, don't do this to me. But we got a small 22-second clip showing Spider-Man and Punisher interacting with each other, with even a funny joke of, are you just trying to get out of fighting the Hulk? So we'll play that here. I'm going to mute myself, and I'll be right back in a sec.
Go home, Frank!
You contain it. I go find the source. I take it down. You got it?
Are you just trying to get out of fighting the Hulk?
I guess so.
Yeah, so as you saw, funny little clip there with we're seeing that chemistry with Punisher, because I mean, when it was first announced or rumored that Punisher was going to be in the Spider-Man movie, people were like, man, that's an interesting choice to pair up with Spider-Man of all people. But so far from the clips I've been seeing, they're bouncing off of each other pretty well, both Bernthal and Holland there. And I like that little joke where he's like, okay, you hold him off while I figure out what the source is, and let's do this. And he's like, are you just trying to avoid fighting the Hulk, and I gotta do all the hard work? And it's just like, maybe I am. But again, I can't wait to see these three characters on screen together. It's looking fun. And I'm not going to play the audio of this clip because it does have copyright music, but we got a little fun stop motion animation thing here that's a promo of Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I wanted to play because it's just like, it's always impressive that a lot of people who get into animation, a lot of their careers started by doing stop motion animation, taking figures and freezing and playing the camera to be able to make the figures move as if it's an ongoing scene, as you're going to see here in this clip. So I'm going to play it while I kind of just talk about it. So yeah, I got to mute that. Hopefully they get me. But as you see the hand, like, but as you see, he's motioning it. He's moving it to show like as if it's just one scene moving. And you see Punisher, Spider-Man, they're kind of clashing with each other there. And then you see at the end, it ends with the two actors playing those characters, holding their respective figures to represent them. So a little cute, fun promo. I'm enjoying the promotion they're doing. And everything I see for this movie, I'm just like, I cannot wait for Spider-Man Brand New Day. And we even got a new little image of Tom Holland here in a scene where it looks like he's in a destroyed office with his mask off, which this looks like this could be, well, not an office. If I didn't know any better, this looks like this could possibly be around that scene when he's fighting the Hand, that ninja group in the prison. Because that's where in the trailers it shows the last where he takes his mask off. So you see it looks like the fight is getting intense. His suit is getting torn up. We're seeing a bloody Spider-Man. Oh, these fights are going to be so good. I can't wait. I cannot wait for this. This is going to be overall fun. Just to see what they got cooking. And it looks like the director, he got something planned for all of us here. So definitely my ticket is going to be bought for this movie. But next up here, we are going to end off the show with the last bit of news, and that is in the video game side of things. Now, like I said, thankfully, it's not going to be like, it's not a lot of topics. It's just all one overarching topic that has been going on these past few days, especially over the weekend, where recently we had the most recent in the college football games come out of College Football 27. That game came out early for people to try and play before it officially released just, I think, 2 days ago, was it? Well, huge controversy struck where a lot of players went into the game and went into the single-player offline modes and noticed that there's two modes in there. Dynasty mode, where you play as a head coach, basically you could take a organization and try to fix it into a everlasting school that ends up making it to the finals, winning, all that kind of stuff. And there's Road to Glory, basically where you create your own character, you level them up, and try to become one of the best football players ever in college, and then be able to transit. And you can then eventually, once Madden 27 comes out, you can then transition your player over to that game. Well, a lot of people started to notice that when they went into these offline single-player modes, they noticed how hard it was to level up their character to get to 99, and that it's like, man, how this is set up, it's pretty impossible to reach 99 in this game. How can I maybe speed up the process? Well, they noticed there's no XP sliders, even though last year's game had XP sliders to help you make it a little easier to progress and level up quicker so you could become a 99 overall. But not only was that missing, they noticed that at the same time that mechanic was removed, that EA added a feature that, okay, well, you want to level up your character quickly? Well, just press this little upgrade thing and we can help you out. Well, guess what? It's microtransactions. It's them basically wanting you to spend money to level up your character. And when people found that out, including myself, it was just like, are you kidding me, EA? This is an offline single-player game mode, and you're trying to charge people to level up their character, even though you made a flawed level up system that makes it nearly impossible to make your character reach 99? What are we doing here? And the big controversy has been where one YouTuber who is a partner of EA, he made a YouTube video and even on Twitter where he has been voicing his frustration. And I'm going to go over each post and give you kind of the timeline of things. But when people found out, it was just like, what are you doing? And then here comes the worst part is this. EA basically threw their partners under the bus, because after this was found out, people went onto social media and started getting mad at the YouTubers who got to play this game even earlier than us. And people were like, hey, you were at that event I want to say it was Chicago. You were in that event and got to play this game early. Why didn't you tell us when you were posting those videos that there was going to be microtransactions in this game? Here's the thing, though. Now, you would think there's no possible way that EA would sneak the microtransactions in. There's no way that they would go behind the backs of all the creators that went out there to their event that they got invited to and not tell them that microtransactions were going to be in their game. They wouldn't do that. EA isn't that scummy, right? They're that scummy, people. Yes, so as you even probably read in the post, sneaking microtransactions into single-player modes lets me know everything I need to know about where EA wants to take both football titles in the future. That's why it's now or never to make a change. Taking the game in that direction is going to ruin all the support and love you have built from this community. Do what's right, EA Sports College. And then he even created a hashtag, college football play, don't pay. When I tell you people that this hashtag blew up big time, it blew up big time. We're talking hashtags left and right, people using it, more content creators discussing, talking about how messed up this is from EA. EA for a while too was trying to kind of stand on business and be like, no, this is intentional for the process. We have to put these pay to win. We have to put this pay stuff because we don't want to affect the balancing. And it's just like, what balancing? There's no online play. You're not playing against other people with these characters. There's no balancing to be done here. You just want to make more money, which just say it like that. Don't lie about it. And even then, you even see this, one of his like pinned things. Again, I have to remind you, this is a partner. He is paid by EA to play their games, see early access, and talk positively about it. And this is the guy that normally, from the times I've watched his YouTube videos, he's normally not negative or has ever voiced criticism. And he said, I don't give a about a partnership. Make a stand against microtransactions in Dynasty and Road to Glory. Take them out and bring back XP sliders. EA Sports College football play, don't pay. And as you can see, like, even people were like, okay, people are like, okay, Bordeaux, you might not be a puppet after all. And I hope that's not anything playing in the background there. That might be some USBs I got plugged in. Sorry about that. But yeah, as you see, like, people are like, okay, maybe you're not a puppet. Maybe you actually are for the community. And like, as you see, it got big. He said, not only is almost every creator speaking out, but so is your entire community. I'm extremely proud with how everybody has come together. You see more YouTubers. MMG, Matt Meeks, he made a video talking about this. EA has gone way too far. RBT, another college football Madden player who makes tons of videos and money off of playing these games. We need to talk about EA Sports. Bangle, another pretty positive YouTuber as well. College Football 27 has an EA problem. Not the Expert, another one. Why EA? All of them made videos, each video getting pretty, like, 43K likes, 1.2K, I'm sorry, 43K views, 1.2K views, 3.7K views, 175K views. Like, lots of people saw this. We're talking even Twitter had the hashtag trending. It made big headlines. And even resulted in a point where they tried to play it off. They tried to, even where reporters were saying that, hey, EA is basically, they're just going to wait for this to blow over. They don't think people are going to seriously mean what they're saying. They're going to wait for the blow over and everything will be peachy keen. It'll be all A-okay. Well, that wasn't the case, because then it appeared the game started to get review bombed on Steam with only 22% of views being positive. Following YouTuber Bordeaux calling out the company for increased microtransactions and starting college football play, don't pay. And as you can see, it spread. Yeah, even then he replied saying, I don't know what CDF play don't pay is, but college football play don't pay is for the people. And you see, it blew up. They started to lose money. They started to lose people. And then we finally got the update. A lot of people were waiting, where they announced that they would be removing microtransactions from both of those games. And it's like, okay, that's good, right? That's good. Well, the Bordeaux, I mean, he said, we won a battle yesterday, but not the war. There's a reason I will still never work with EA Sports College again. They reference live service plans in College Football 28 and beyond. Keep offline game modes pure as a sandbox experience. It takes guts to listen to your community and back down. I'm expecting the XP sliders will be back too, but trust will have to be rebuilt over time, not off one decision. And he put a little gif of Kobe Bryant saying, "I don't think so." But yeah, again, the battle was won, but not the war. And as you probably heard in my laugh a little bit earlier, you're like, "Well, we won, right? It's all over." Well, not so much. Yeah, as sadly we got another statement from EA where where basically we want to hear an update like, okay, well, you got rid of the microtransactions, and while sure the XP sliders are in for the dynasty mode, Road to Glory players are being screwed over right now because you have no way to help your player level up, so you got to do it in this weird way that EA made it to essentially. They did this plan with microtransactions in mind. Now, when you remove that, it makes it even harder to play the game. And so we are basically the most update we got from Bordeaux, where it was like patiently waiting on that statement from EA Sports College on when they're bringing back XP sliders and what else is being worked on. College football play, don't pay. Where they kind of said, we're moving fast to respond to your feedback in game, so stay tuned for follow-up communications next week, where we'll take you through more design details and share our goals for College Football 27. Well, we did sadly get those news, and it's not good. As bad news, Road to Glory sliders will not return to College Football 27, and the fastest Dynasty Coach XP speed slider will stay at what faster was on College Football 26. I love how we are now tripling down on limiting the freedom your players have inside their single-player offline modes, as he puts that in bold, offline modes. Where this is their statement, because we're not going to really read their full thing, but they said Road to Glory progression and XP sliders. Standalone XP sliders are not returning to Road to Glory because progression in College Football 27 is now built around the full structure of the mode, difficulty, weekly decisions, fitness, NIL deals, wear and tear, legacy score, scholarship bonuses, and on-field performances.
God damn!
And it's just like, man, it's like he said it too. He predicted it. He called it. We won the battle, but we did not win the war, as EA is still, they're doing their trifling stuff. They're like, well, okay, we're going to back down and remove the microtransactions, but well, since this is what you wanted, we're not going to give you the XP sliders to another thing that you asked for. And it's just like, I don't know the thought process, man. EA, y'all only asking for your game to get more and more criticized here. But hey, if y'all want to keep ruining your reputation, a reputation that's already been ruined, go right on ahead. At this point, no one's stopping you. It's just disappointing to see that after all the backlash, after all the fan cry, they listened, but then they also said, well, we're going to listen, but we're also not going to listen. So it sucks that this news had to end on kind of a bittersweet, like we won, but at what cost? And sadly, the cost is that people still will not be able to really enjoy Road to Glory. And there are a lot of Road to Glory players, and now they really won't be able to enjoy this experience because they have to play the way EA is forcing them to play. And because of the outcry, now they don't have a way to level up their characters, which again, no one should be paying money to EA. It's disgusting. Don't do it. So again, it sucks that our news had to end on kind of a sour note, but it's just sadly the only update we have now in this situation. But that is all that we really have for tonight's show. As always, I'm glad for everybody that tunes in every week at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. I appreciate every single one of you, as it is always fun to come on here and bring this news. I know that this episode went on a little longer than expected, but when the news comes, and your boy has to report on it. So as always, you guys take care. Love each and every one of you, and I'll see y'all next time.